carbs, but a lot of benefits.
It's got enough sand, it doesn't need a mixer.
My 3-year-old daughter starts her day every day with a glass of this. She asked for it. I'm not the crazy mom who pushes it on her, but she does. She asks for it. So this kombucha, like I said, you can buy it at Market Basket. It's a little bit expensive, so this bottle I think is $8. But you don't need to drink a lot of it in order to get the benefits, and that's what we're going to talk about, all the benefits. So on the first page here, so my name is Lee. Welcome. I'm from Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley.
I don't have a sheet.
Oh, here we go. Let me get you a sheet.
Okay,
There you go. So Elder Services in the Merrimack Valley, we provide Meals on Wheels. We provide a lot of other services for seniors who don't know about them. We do really amazing things. So if you need any more information about that, please let me know. But I am the dietitian there. I do home visits, and I make the menus for the Meals on Wheels, and I do nutrition lessons. I do free home visits for anybody who has Medicare and diabetes or kidney disease. It's a new program that we're starting to do. So if you know anybody who qualifies, just let me know and we can talk more about that. It's a really great program. So on your first page here, we are here to talk about probiotics and prebiotics. So there's a little quiz on the front. If anybody wants another minute or two, let's take that time and just see if you can answer the quiz. Don't worry if you get it right, it's fine. It's just talking points for us today. So we'll see what people know going into this. Have some kombucha myself.
Prebiotic and a probiotic.
I know, right? Look, it's right on her jar. On your bottle, it says pre and
Figure that
probiotic.
out before we start. I get that. But what's a biotic?
Oh, there you go. I guess to kill the antibiotics we take. We're glad you came.
So how's everybody doing? Are we pretty much ready? We need another moment? Another minute?
All right,
Okay,
I
good.
apologize, we have to go.
Oh, okay.
It's probably good, it's probably good.
Okay, great.
Well, at least you got to have your cocktail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go over these questions, see what people know and what people don't know. So bacteria can be beneficial in our bodies. True or false? True. That's right. So we have good bacteria that lives in our gut. What's our gut?
Intestines.
Yeah, your intestines. Yeah, so large intestines, small intestines. I'm sure all of you have heard if you stretch it out. I don't know how long it is, but it's long, 3 miles or something. So all of that is our gut. So that's where our good bacteria, most of our good bacteria lives. We have it other places in our body. And bad bacteria we can get from, any ideas? Spoiled food, right? Our environment. There's a lot of bad bacteria out there. So we need our good bacteria to fight our bad bacteria. So which of the following may be a good source of probiotics? Any guesses? I heard sauerkraut. Anybody put anything different? No? Good. Sauerkraut is the answer. And why is sauerkraut the answer? Yes, it's a fermented food. Yes. So fermented foods are the ones, this is considered, kombucha is considered a fermented foods, are the ones that are going to be have the beneficial bacteria in it. If you can get something fermented without vinegar, it's even better. So there's a couple of products out there that do that. So what are prebiotics? Anybody want to guess on that one?
There's something to do with what's prepared in the gut to be able to, I don't know how to say it, except with it's like planting the soil for a plant to grow.
Okay, yeah, he said it's like planting the soil for a plant to grow. That's a good way of saying it. So prebiotics, based on that definition, anybody want to guess what letter? B. It's food for bacteria. Yes. So we have these pills. People always say, I take probiotics. You know, I don't know. I buy it over the counter. I take these probiotics. That's great. You can take as many bacteria as you want. You can fill your whole body up with these probiotics. But if those probiotics don't have the food to live, they're not going to survive. So not only do we have to think about the bacteria that we're putting into our body, we have to think about the food for the bacteria. Does that make sense?
Get it.
You don't get it? Okay, good. I'm glad you said that you didn't get it. So this is loaded with a whole bunch of bacteria, right?
Yeah.
So we drink it, the bacteria lives in our bodies. So it stays in our bodies, it lives. But if that bacteria doesn't have anything it can eat in our bodies, then it will eventually die, the good bacteria. So there are certain foods that we can eat that actually feed the bacteria in our bodies. Does that make sense?
And then, because you want more bacteria?
You want more bacteria, yes. I know bacteria has a negative connotation, right? We hear antibacterial, oh, bacteria. But these guys, these are our friends. These are good bacteria. They should come up with a new name for them. So what might be bad for bacteria balance in the gut? What do we think? Exercise, antibiotics, onions? Antibiotics. Did anybody say exercise? Good. Exercise is never bad. Which of the following is a good source of prebiotics? Remember, prebiotics are the ones that feed the probiotics. Asparagus, garlic, or both asparagus and garlic? Both. Yeah. So those are some of the examples. If you eat more garlic, it's good for the bacteria that we want to grow in our bodies.
My grandfather was right.
Your grandfather was right, yes. So let's turn to the second page on here. Any questions on the quiz before I move on?
What's
fermented without vinegar?
So there's a process, and we talk it about here. There's a process. It's called lacto-fermented.
Okay.
It's a different process that you can get. The sauerkraut and other things the vinegar does. There's not a lot of, it doesn't have a lot of harm, but it's definitely better to get something that's fermented without the vinegar. It just creates a better environment for the bacteria to grow.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So-
no problem.
Should we have a glass of wine every day then?
So wine doesn't really have probiotics in it.
But it's fermented.
It's fermented, yes, but it has to be fermented with certain bacteria. So, yeah, that's a great question. Sure, you can have a glass of wine if you want to, just because there's so many other benefits. But when we're talking about probiotics, wine is not in that category, nor is rum. That was just a joke before. So probiotics. So this is our sheet on probiotics here the gut microbiome. That's where we are right now. So we talked a little bit about this. So they're in our gut. We have a variety of tiny microscopic creatures that live in our digestive tract. So these are established at a young age, and they can be influenced by the type of food we eat. So like I was talking about before, if we eat only one thing, we're not necessarily feeding the bacteria in our body. Antibiotic use. So when people take antibiotics, they wipe out good and bad, especially things that are a little bit stronger, like broad spectrum antibiotics will wipe out everything. And so that's, if your doctor's ever told you eat yogurt when you're taking an antibiotic, that's the reason why. Has anybody ever heard of the terrible disease called C. diff? Colostrum difficile. So it's basically very, very, very bad diarrhea. And you get it sometimes, you can catch it in a hospital, or sometimes you just get it. It's transferred through feces, so if someone were to touch feces and then not wash their hands, then it would be transferred to you. So they did a study in the hospital, and they treated half of the C. diff patients with antibiotics, and they treated the other half with yogurt, half a cup of yogurt a day. And yogurt half were better a week earlier than the antibiotic half. So it's just pretty amazing. It's nice that hospitals are open to doing these studies too. So also they can be influenced by different environmental factors and stress too, possibly by exercise in the positive. They are thinking that exercise actually helps increase these bacteria. So we have a lot of them, 100 trillion. And then we also have some that lives in our colon and our large intestine, but mostly our small intestines. So the functions regulate the immune system. They prevent growth of harmful bacteria. They extract energy from food. So people always say, oh, my digestion's better because I take a probiotic, because a probiotic is helping you actually break down that food and utilize the nutrients in the gut. If we have vitamin deficiencies or other deficiencies, mineral deficiencies, it can often not because we're getting enough, but because our body can't utilize it. So that's why it's important to have a healthy gut. And also the production of some essential vitamins and regulate glucose levels and metabolism. There's also some really new research on the gut health and mental health. And they're finding, it's called the gut-brain connection. So people who suffer from anxiety and depression who have been treated with probiotics have shown to have a decrease in both. So it's new research, but it's pretty interesting, I think. It's all connected, right? So,
100 trillion.
yeah, 100 trillion. That's a lot. So you obviously can't see them. They're very small. Are there any questions about this page before we move on? Yes?
Just for instance, like for the colon, when you go and you have a colonoscopy and you, all the different things, the drinks or whatever to clean you up, does that get rid of everything that's in your entire system?
So the question was, when you have a colonoscopy, does it get rid of everything in your entire system? I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure on that answer, but I wouldn't think so. I would think that because you're not taking antibiotics, right? They still have their environment isn't really unchanged. You're just trying to clean yourself out a little bit. But that's a really good question.
Yourself out, I thought it would just clean everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I will find out. That's a great question. Anything? Luckily, we don't have to have those every day, right? That would be a nice existence. Any other questions on this page before we move on? No, we're good. Would you like a handout so you can follow along? Sure. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, so next page, probiotics. This is why we're all here today. So what are probiotics?
Good bacteria.
Good bacteria. Good. That's great. So probiotics are good bacteria. So beneficial, live, active microorganisms. So there's two main types. They're listed there, found in fermented dairy and also in some other fermented foods. So they help replace the good bacteria and they may help balance the bad bacteria. So food sources. What's the food I just mentioned a little bit ago in the hospital?
Yogurt.
Yogurt, right. So yogurt is a really good source. So I brought one yogurt. I just grabbed it from my fridge this morning. So have people seen this? It's a Chobani yogurt.
Mm.
So this one has, in the back, there's two things that you want to usually look for. Somewhere on it says live active cultures. So it says right here, live active cultures. And then it lists how many. So some yogurts will say live active cultures and they only have 3. Some, the most I've seen is 6, and that's from Stonyfield. And this one has 5, and it has all these really big words. S. thermophilus, L. bulgarius, L. acidophilus, bifidus, and L. casei, I think is how you pronounce it. So those are all the different bacteria in here. So eating yogurt is a great way to get bacteria. But look for 6 or more if you can. So Stonyfield is the best. What's the problem with yogurt, though? Sugar. Yeah, so yogurt can have a lot of added sugars in it. You have to keep in mind that 1 cup of milk has about 8 grams of sugar, or 8 to 12. I think it's 12 grams of sugar. So 1 cup of milk has 12 grams of sugar, so you're never going to get a yogurt with no sugar. It's just impossible because milk has sugar. So plain is always better if you can. Now, look at the other food sources. Has anybody ever heard of these other food sources that are listed there?
My grandson loves kefir.
Kefir. Can you share what kefir is?
I think it's like a agglomeration, like a sedimentation. I'm not sure. I know he loves it.
So has anybody ever heard of kefir? No, so kefir is almost like a drinkable yogurt. It's a little bit thinner. It's very similar to buttermilk. Do people remember buttermilk? I remember drinking that as a kid. But it has that very similar taste to it. There's all sorts of flavors. The flavors have sugar in it, but they have even more beneficial bacteria than a yogurt. So that is good. Anything else on there that people see that they might have recognized? Any of these words? Miso. Has anybody heard of miso?
Chinese restaurant.
Yep. So yeah, it's Asian food. It's a soup. It comes in a paste. So you make your water hot. You don't put it in boiling water because that'll kill the bacteria. Make your water hot. Mix in a little bit of paste and you drink. It's a very thin broth, but that has the beneficial bacteria. Kombucha. Everybody gets to try that. So what are more thoughts on the kombucha?
Not bad.
Not bad. Anybody else have anybody hate it? It's okay, you can tell me.
Never have.
And then tempeh. Has anybody heard of that? Yes. No.
Yes.
So Colleen, do you want to tell everybody what tempeh is?
Well, we use that as a protein source for my vegetarian family members.
Yeah. It's soybeans. It's
And
fermented soybeans.
Exactly, and it's not, it's not unpalatable to the non-vegetarian family members, so.
Yeah, it almost has kind of a nutty
Yeah.
consistency. You can
Yes.
stir fry it. You can really put it with anything. You can grill it.
Try to disguise it so that I don't get questions.
You could crumble it and put it in like a chili or something like that.
Yes, we've
to make
actually
it
done that.
meat. Yeah, that's good. And you don't really notice. Lacto-fermented vegetables, so like sauerkraut, kimchi. What's kimchi?
Sounds Japanese.
It does sound Japanese. It is pickled cabbage. So it's like a Napa cabbage. It's pickled and it's a little bit spicy. And then finally, there's some bars called a tune. I've also seen in a lot of teas. I'm seeing probiotics everywhere. I'm seeing crackers with probiotics. I'm seeing cookies with probiotics,
Ooh, there you
drinks,
go.
everything. So, the nutrition industry likes to
Marketing.
make us spend money, of course. So, when you think about a probiotic, it's a live, active, living organism, and it needs the environment to stay live and acting and living. Kombucha is refrigerated. Yogurt is refrigerated. Fermented vegetables that aren't made with vinegar are refrigerated. Therefore, the bacteria stays in an environment where it can stay alive. It has a food source, it's in a temperature-controlled environment, and therefore you know you're getting the live bacteria. So when we see probiotics in things that aren't refrigerated or in pill form, there are certain probiotics that don't need that environment to live, certain funguses, but for the most part, most of the beneficial is better from getting from food because it remains alive. Does that make sense?
And use it without vinegar.
The best type of fermented, the highest in probiotics without vinegar, yes. Do you have a question?
No, I just, like, if you're lactose intolerant, so
Yeah.
a lot of, does getting like lactate type of food, does that change it?
No, so the only difference with lactated food is that the lactose is broken down, so they actually put an enzyme in there that breaks down the lactose, so it tastes a little bit sweeter. But I would say 90% of the people who are lactose intolerant can eat yogurt because it's very low in lactose.
They do have lactose yogurt.
And they
too.
do have lactate yogurt,
Lactate
yes,
yogurt, yeah.
yeah. But that would be fine, absolutely. Just look for the sign on there, it says live active cultures. It's important. Any other questions
I
about
have
this?
two.
Yeah, sure.
What about tofu and what about GMOs?
So tofu is not high in probiotics. And then as far as GMOs and soy, is that what you're asking, or just GMOs in
corn
general?
mostly, right? Genetically modified organisms.
Yeah.
So do they change the nourishment in the food? Or the...
As far as the probiotic
As far as
content?
bacteria. I mean, they make the food look better, right?
Right,
Wouldn't that get
yeah.
rid of bugs or something that would be eating it?
But I don't know how many of the high probiotic foods would be considered GMOs because corn's not a high probiotic food anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I think with the tempeh, because soy is often genetically modified. As far as I know, I don't think it would change it because it's a fermentation process, not necessarily the original product. But it's a
Okay.
good question.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. And GMOs are kind of new too, as far as research. But that's a really good question. Any other? Questions about this page, about our probiotics? So in my summary, can I see your pills for a minute? Do you mind if you have your bottle? So these things are everywhere. Everywhere you go. Probiotics, prebiotics, because everybody's talking about this. It's new research. It's exciting. But again, is this an environment that's refrigerated? No. So this is not the best source. And the other thing with these type of vitamins and supplements is they're not regulated by the FDA. So we really never know what's in these, but we always know what's in our foods. So I push food over pills always. Because, it's just, you know what you're getting. It makes sense. So here you
Would
go.
that in powder form be any better?
And I don't know. I would say go with the food over the powder always, because again, it's the living, you want to keep it in a living environment. But they've done studies on vitamins, and they looked at them, and they've tested all these vitamins, and they found that a vitamin B actually didn't contain any vitamins, because they're not regulated. So we have to be really careful spending our money on things that might not be beneficial for us. But that being said, if you found something that works for you, as far as probiotics, just keep doing it. If it works, then maybe it does work. So, on to the next page. We talked about probiotics. So these are a bunch of really strange foods, and I understand that. But I want to say they're only strange to our culture. These foods have been around in other culture. These probiotic foods have been around in other cultures for thousands of years, but they're just starting to come to us. That's why they seem weird. So prebiotics. What are prebiotics? I talked about it earlier.
I thought they kind of prepared the stomach to help digest food, no?
She said they prepare your stomach to help digest food for bacteria. So yes, the food feeds the bacteria helps us digest. So the probiotics are the food for bacteria helps us digest. Does that make sense?
So the good bacteria breaks down in the stomach?
The good bacteria lives in our stomach,
Oh, so it
but not in our
keeps it
stomach,
alive.
in our gut.
In our gut.
In our gut, yeah.
Okay, so it keeps it alive so that when you eat, it helps digest your food?
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits of probiotics. People say with GI issues, whether they have Crohn's or IBS, that probiotics helps them digest food better. Absolutely. But other people say probiotics helps them from preventing getting sick. Some people are saying it helps them decrease their anxiety. So there's a lot of different benefits. So prebiotics. So these foods are a little bit more recognized in our culture. So these are the food for the probiotics. So they act as a fertilizer, like you said, kind of like the soil for the healthy bacteria in the gut. It nourishes the probiotics, not absorbed or digested by the body, because it's made mostly of the non-digestible carbohydrates. And it can improve bloating, digestion, and regularity. Some may increase bloating and gas if there's a sudden increase in fiber, because these foods are mostly high in what's called soluble fiber. So soluble fiber is good for our belly, is good for our heart. Insoluble fiber is what helps us go to the bathroom, just so we're clear on the two different types of fibers. So, does anybody recognize these foods? More so than the other page? Yes. So these are things that we might eat more commonly: asparagus, barley, rye, onions, leeks, garlic, potatoes, yams, bananas, whole grain wheat, inulin. Inulin is something that's often in yogurt. The reason it's put in yogurt is to help us absorb more probiotics. Eating them together is helpful to create an environment for the good bacteria to survive. So cutting up a banana, putting it in your yogurt is an example of that. So 3 times a week of these foods are recommended, and then just gave you some tips about choosing yogurt, which we talked about before. So any questions on prebiotics?
Is there a benefit with the Greek over the regular?
That's a great question. So is there a benefit with Greek over a regular? So this is a Greek yogurt. We've been seeing these a lot lately. Have people tried the Greek yogurt?
I use that one.
Yeah, use this on pineapple one? This one's good. Giovanni's good. So Greek yogurt is how is it different than regular yogurt?
That doesn't.
What'd you say? Did you say something?
I didn't say, no,
No.
I
Oh.
said that's what I was wondering, what's the
Yeah.
difference?
Does anybody, what tastes different? Has anybody tried
Neither.
the
I don't like it.
It's thicker. It's almost like sour cream, the consistency. So the benefit is it has a lot more protein.
Yeah.
As far as probiotics, it's pretty much the same. So this one, actually, this one doesn't have as much as the other ones. But this one has 11 grams of protein. I've seen some of the Greek yogurts up to like 20 grams. So they tend to have a little bit more protein. As we age, protein is really, really important. So I tell people if you can eat it, Greek yogurt's better for this population. But probiotics is the same. So any other questions about this information?
Before all of this became popular.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you said garlic, I know an Italian family, my grandfather, garlic was very, but didn't our bodies always have that?
Have the benefit, the probiotics?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have things like that growing up.
Right. But
And
think about the environment we live in now. Did you have an antibiotic hand sanitizer in your purse growing up?
No.
No. Where it was, where you put on antibiotics. I mean, I have 2 kids, and I feel like they go in, antibiotics, antibiotics. It's been better lately, but, I feel like that now in our environment, we're so clean
Yeah.
that it's changed a lot because we've gotten rid of a lot of these things because we're trying to get rid of all the bacteria in our lives.
But is that good?
It's good to a certain extent. Yeah.
I mean, growing up, if you
Definitely.
dropped something, you picked it up, or you rinse off a carrot you pulled out of the garden in a rain barrel, a rusty
Right.
rain barrel, mind you, and you,
And you eat
That
it,
was it.
and you survived.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Right, so I
What
think
else
that
do you-
living in a much cleaner environment does have its benefits, but as far as our bodies have also become much cleaner. And so they're trying to figure out ways to get more bacteria into our bodies. Whether you got it from eating the dirt and carrot before, or hopefully not tetanus.
A
from-
resistance, we built up resistance.
Right, yes, exactly. So that's one of the theories of why people are not as healthy as they could be because we are such a clean environment.
Doesn't that sound funny?
It sounds so funny. I
We're
know.
so clean, we're not healthy.
Exactly. It's true. It's
Kids
true.
don't play outside anymore. They're either in gyms or in front of their computers.
Right.
And our food has changed a lot,
I was thinking that the processing of foods has definitely changed.
Definitely.
And that has big
Yeah.
impacts in terms of what we're finding in terms of gut health.
Absolutely. Huge impact. Things like sugar, high sugary foods, and those white foods are detrimental to our gut bacteria. So yeah, and people, were probably going to their local farm stand and buying food, and now they're getting apples from New Zealand that have been sprayed and preserved, and so life is a lot different from back then. It's changed a lot. So.
God's given us everything we need. I keep saying that to people. Why do we have to change everything?
I know, it's
And
true.
where did GMOs come from? I looked at a gum wrapper. I was buying it for someone. It said GMO, genetically modified. Maybe, no. Like minimally genetically modified in sugar-free gum. What's
Maybe
a
some-
sugar-free gum that needs GMOs? for
Maybe
heaven's
something
sake?
corn in there, who knows? So do people know what GMOs is? She's talked about GMOs a couple times.
Gene
Anybody?
modification.
Do you want to share with people what it is?
Genetically modified organisms, genetically and modified organisms. And for some reason, they're in a lot of our foods. I think it started with corn. In our country, the milk industry, the corn industry, the wheat industry, those things aren't really good for all of us. But we want perfect food, and I'm one of them. I pick through the apples and the oranges, and I'm looking for the perfect one, and that's what GMOs do. I don't know if it's used as a fertilizer or a spray. I think it's a spray.
It's a gene modifier.
It's a gene modifier,
Actually,
genetic, yeah, the
genetically
genetics,
modified,
yeah,
so
the genes, yeah.
They create
Also,
new
the plant
seeds
to
of
be more
different.
resistant. Helps the plant to be more resistant to
Exactly.
disease.
Yeah.
So they get better yield out of
So did everybody hear that? It causes the plant to be more resistant to disease. So one of my favorite examples of GMOs is they take a strawberry and they take a gene from a fish and they put it into the strawberry, so it makes the strawberry more cold tolerant. So then they're like, oh, now our people who have fish allergies, can they eat strawberries? Because now they're changing the genetic structure of things. So yeah, it's interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, I just am so angry that it happened and no one knew about it.
Yeah, and they weren't going to label it, but now they have to label it. So, but anything that's organic, if it has the word organic on it, it is not GMOs. So that's just a way, if it's something that concerns you, that's an easy way to avoid it. An expensive way, but an easy way. Any other questions about this or anything nutrition-wise?
I believe it became gluten intolerant because of genetically modified wheat. I've heard a lot of people say that.
So that's one of the theories. He said that he became gluten intolerant because of genetically modified wheat. So that's, people, gluten intolerance means you can't eat anything with wheat in it. So it's becoming more popular, and more diagnosed, so people are starting to recognize it more, and that is one of the theories about it.
So one of the ways that I help when I get accidentally take in some gluten, I use probiotics to kind of straighten it out.
So did everybody hear
So
that?
Got to be a connection there.
When he accidentally eats gluten, he uses probiotics to help straighten it out. Because does it affect mostly your belly, the gluten?
My
Or is
gut.
it, yeah,
Small
gut.
intestine.
Gluten intolerance can be represented in all different things. I have a sister-in-law who gets really bad headaches when she eats it. So, all different. Yeah, it's hard to know, but who said it? You said it earlier, your grandfather was right. You said that right.
We had a
Yeah.
huge garden in the backyard, and, I mean, when you're talking about, he never sprayed them, he never put pesticides,
Right? Yeah.
and he did his own canning of not canning, but tomato paste. He would do, because he had huge tomatoes. But we would just go and pull out a vegetable,
Yeah.
like I said, nowadays, it's like,
Now it's like a veggie stick, right? It's like a veggie stick.
you grow up with it, you don't think about it.
Right, yeah, it's true.
Just natural
I
food.
found the lectins
Yeah.
that I take.
So does anybody have any other questions?
Lectins.
Do people feel like they learned something today?
Yeah.
Good,
You,
good.
you left off, Jonah.
You're right. Oh, that page didn't print. Oh, sorry. The best part of the donut is the hole in the middle.
Very quick. Does it depend on how you cook the vegetables?
As far as the probiotics?
Yeah.
As far as the prebiotics, you mean? 'Cause
Either.
Yeah. So they say that if you eat it raw, it's better. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good question.
Or
So-
steam.
Or steam. Yeah, the the less you cook it, the better. So, I mean, raw asparagus is pretty good. I know people kind of don't eat that very often raw, but I mean, a raw onion, I'm not really gonna sit there and chomp on an onion. So yeah, onions and garlics you can cook, and raw potatoes, I wouldn't eat those. But yeah, if you can not cook them, but it's not gonna kill the probiotics.
The sweet potato better than white potato.
So the question he said is sweet potato better than white potato? What do people think?
They say, yeah.
And why?
More fiber?
No, not the starch.
The color.
Color. So the color. So there is a little research thing that they break down differently. So the white potato breaks down a little bit faster than the sweet potato. So it changes your blood glucose level a little bit different. That's called glycemic index. But mostly the color. So if you eat the rainbow, I'm not talking about sitting down having a bowl of Fruit Loops. But the rainbow of natural foods, that's kind of how you know you're getting all your different vitamins that you need.
Isn't it the darker the color, better?
The darker the color, usually the higher in antioxidants. Antioxidants are things that help fight disease in our body. So yeah. So the sweet potato has a lot more vitamin A in it.
Doesn't it have more fiber too, doesn't it, than white potato?
Not too much. You'll have to eat the skin to get the fiber for either potato. So they're pretty similar.
I thought sweet potatoes had a lot of potassium. No?
They do. Both potatoes do. White potatoes and sweet. Yeah, they're both very high. Good. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, thank you all for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. Always such a great group. You guys have great questions. So. Hi, my name is Lee Hartwell, and I'm the dietitian from Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the Meals on Wheels program in the congregate site. I'm here at the Georgetown Council of Aging, and they have congregate meals here on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And in that meal, you'll get a nutritious and well-balanced meal, lower in sodium than some of the meals you would probably eat at home. And you get to sit with friends and talk over a nice meal. The meal is encompassed of a protein, a vegetable, and a starch, and then you also get a dessert and milk and bread, and that can vary from day to day what the meal is. We serve all different types. We do Mexican, we do Italian, we do vegetarian, we do specials around Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we do a monthly special of something new and exciting. So we try to really vary it, and the meals are great for all people. So it's only a $2 suggested donation, and it's really a wonderful meal and a great way to spend some time with friends. So we also do the Meals on Wheels program, which is a similar meal, if not the same meal, to the congregate site. So the congregate sites often get soups, where the Meals on Wheels program will not get a soup. But in the Meals on Wheels program, we do several different meals to meet people's needs. We do a cardiac meal, which is lower in sodium than our regular meal. We do a renal meal, which is lower in sodium, potassium, and phosphorus than our regular meal. And then we also do texture-modified meals. So that's for people who have trouble chewing or swallowing, pureed, ground, chopped. So we make a lot of modifications to try to meet everybody's needs. And then the other program that we offer through Elder Services is, this is a flyer explaining a little bit about it, but it's called our Medical Nutrition Therapy Program. And this is available for anybody who has Medicare. They are eligible for a nutrition home visit. So they need to have Medicare, and they need to either have diabetes or kidney disease, but they can't be on dialysis. So if you do have Medicare and one of those conditions, you qualify for 3 free nutrition home visits a year from myself or our other dietitian in the office. And we come to your house, we look at how you can improve your diet, we look through some of your foods and tell you what's good and what's not good, and we make a plan together. So I hope that you will take advantage of some of the great services we offer at Elder Services, and please contact me with any questions. My card will be available for you to look at. Thank you so much. Oh, my number, if you want to reach me, is 978-651-3023, and that's my direct line at Elder Services.